everybody, welcome to Let's Talk Assassin's Creed, your number one podcast for all things Assassin's Creed. In today's episode, we're going to be celebrating Easter. And when you think of Easter, you think of colours and a ton of chocolates. And at first, I realised you can't do a podcast on chocolates because I haven't found assassin chocolates yet, but I'm hoping Ubisoft makes us some because I kind of fancy a Easter egg with like a little Ezio hiding inside of it. If anyone knows Kinder Eggs, you'll know what I'm on about. Anyways, so...
They're illegal in the US.
Are they?
I found that out recently. They're illegal in the US.
Ooh. Oh, and spoiler, we have a guest.
Hi! I tried to be funny, but I jumped the gun.
So, this is probably one of the coolest intros. So yes, this is Easter, and sadly, we can't talk about chocolate, but we can talk about Easter eggs. So, we're going to talk about our favourite Assassin's Creed inspired Easter eggs. As you probably guessed, we are joined by Louise from the Rookeries Archive.
Hi!
Jumping the gun a little. First it was missing the deadline, and now it's acting before the deadline.
Student mentality. You'll get the two extremes. What can I say?
You're either too early or too late.
Yep.
I do want to give a massive shout out to everyone that joined in with our Twitter thread. Some of the Easter eggs I found on that I never even heard of, and the ones I haven't heard of I've literally gone to find, and I am in hysterics with half of them.
Yeah, some of these are some really good suggestions. Like, oh my god.
Like, I think one from the Father of Understanding on Twitter. Snakes, why is it always snakes? It's a brilliant line from Indiana Jones, but...
I think it's Origins.
Is that one Origins?
That it's in? I think it's Origins. Because it's in one, when you're going through one of the tombs as Bayek, and you know how sometimes you just get surrounded by, like, cobras?
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh, I hate snakes.
Well, we all hate snakes. I think this one's a Final Fantasy reference from Surveillance Flowers, so someone will have to correct me, but the Cacta and Moogle plushies in Layla's Tent in Origins. I think Cacta is Final Fantasy, but don't quote me, I've not really played much Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I'm not much of a Final Fantasy fan, I can tell you. Sounds right, though.
I think there is two, and this is one of them is one me and Louise talk about a lot because it's hysterics. But the first one is a Winnie the Pooh reference in Valhalla. Winnie the Pooh was one of my childhoods, so I'm going to have to go find that. And one that I'm going to try and... was by Olivia Morono. Sorry for pronouncing it wrong. The next one is by Foxy Sam, and it's one that Louise has mentioned in the past. Fenton. Oh, Jesus Christ, Fenton.
Everyone remembers that viral video from, like, was it 10 years ago?
I believe so.
Hold on. Quick Google.
Fenton. Jesus Christ. Fenton.
9 years ago, original upload.
So that is the dedication that the Assassin's Creed Valhalla team has gone.
It's a decade old, jeez.
A decade-old meme has wormed its way into a very popular franchise, and I think it's fantastic that they can hide snippets of Easter eggs into games for us all to find. So, shall we share we're going to share 6 of our favourites, so it's going to be 3 each, otherwise we could probably be here all night.
Yeah.
Which isn't probably a bad thing. So, how it's going to work is, Louise will do one, I do one, and we'll just go back and forward. It's more complicated than it sounds, but let's jump in. What is one of your favourite Easter eggs?
You want me to go first?
You're the guest.
Okay. So, oh my god, I have so many. I even wrote a list of my favourite and had to trying to decide my favourite 3. In the end, I ended up having to do categories. So the first category is Assassin's Creed games referencing Assassin's Creed games. And someone actually mentioned this in the Twitter thread. I think it was White Wolf Whispers. It's, unsurprisingly, in Syndicate. It's when you go into the Alhambra to assassinate Roth, there are posters on the walls. One is called Ballad of the Buccaneers, and the guy mysteriously looks like Edward Kenway. And then on the other poster, it is Ezio, and it very much looks like Ezio and I think Christina.
Oh, I might have to play Syndicate to find this one.
Yeah, you can find them. They're dotted around like the stairwells and stuff, so you will literally walk right past them as you're going up.
I think I'm gonna have to. I've got Syndicate downloaded. I may have to boot this game up and have a look.
Yes, you do.
Mm,
But it's not also like it's also not the first time Syndicate's referenced other AC games. Everyone remembers Desmond the Corgi, don't they?
I did not know there was Desmond Corgi. What? What have I missed?
Um, so Desmond Miles, right?
Good old Desmond.
Um, so in one of the later sequences, you meet the Disraelis, who is Benjamin Disraeli is the Prime Minister and his wife, and their corgi is called Desmond. And if you look at the database entry for Desmond the Corgi, Sean Hastings does not take that very well. He misses his buddy.
Oh, bless. Aww.
It's so sad, but the Corgi is so cute.
So, is it hypothetical to say that maybe the Corgi is an ancestor of Desmond? Canon! It's canon.
You say that, but I have. You say that, but I have read this slightly weird fan fiction where, after the events of AC3, Desmond's consciousness wakes up in the corgi.
Oh, that's weird.
It's so wild.
One day I was saving the world, next I'm chewing on my foot and chasing my tail. What a life. The agony, the confusion.
The life of a legend.
From great hero to great belly rubs. I'm terrible at this.
Oh my god.
I didn't know this Easter egg was going to get so weird.
Yeah, that went down a tangent.
This is why I stay away from fandoms. I'm not very good. So,
right, pull it back. What's your first favourite?
This shows how slightly strange I am as a person, but outside of Assassin's Creed, one of the other franchises I really do love to play casually, even though I keep getting my butt kicked on it, is Dark Souls. Dark Souls is a difficult game, but I love the challenge and the reward of beating a boss, and I feel so good in myself. And there actually is 2 Easter eggs. There's a Easter egg in Origins where you see a sword in the ash, and it's called Sword in the Ash, and it does say that it talks about how the bones belong to someone who would not rest in the afterlife due to missing the heart, and which is a clear reference to bonfires seen in Dark Souls. However, not to feel outdone, Valhalla also includes a little bonfire with a lit bonfire with a sword in it as well, which is cool.
Ooh.
But due to the fact that Assassin's Creed has yet to give us emotes in photo mode, which is something I'm requesting, it'd be so cool if we could actually sit next to the bonfire and take a screenshot.
Oh, yeah.
That would
be so cool.
That would just cap it off. That would make it the ultimate Easter egg because you'd be resting at a bonfire. That would be fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah, just
yeah.
Thankfully.
Now that you've mentioned Dark Souls, you've actually brought something back that from what was it? The movie.
Ooh.
From one of the first, I think it was the second trailer that came out, which coincidentally was also on my birthday. It was the one that opened where it was the guy like, this is a tangent, I'm so sorry. It's the second one where the guy interviewing Callum is like, so I hear it's your birthday, and I sat there watching like, yes it is actually.
That's pretty cool.
But I digress. The reference, it's one of the scenes where they actually go to the Alhambra Palace in Spain towards the end of the film, and where Aguila and Maria are on the rooftops, and they do something that people thought mirrored the Praise the Sun, action from, I think, Dark Souls.
Oh, I remember that because I've been watching the movie. I did
Yeah.
think to myself, praise the sun. But then I was like, I don't want to say it too loud because people think I'm creepy.
Hmm.
If they're praising the sun, then I feel really sorry for them because you usually praise the sun before you go into a big boss fight, and usually you lose.
To be fair, it was a pretty big boss fight.
That's true. Maybe they did understand like telepathically how Dark Souls worked and thought, well, praise the sun. We're going in. We're going in. Hope for the best. Your second favorite?
Oh god, that wasn't even mine. I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
I really derailed that. Oh lord.
My podcasts always get derailed. It's the best part of listening to them.
Tangents.
I should have called the whole show Tangents.
So my second one is kind of like a two-way reference because this is referenced in several different AC games. But on the flip side, Assassin's Creed is also referenced in their games. And it's like Lord of the Rings in the Tolkien Legendarium. So, oh god, it's referenced so many times. Like, just in Valhalla alone, you have something to do with hobbits. You have the Builder talking about, like, Gandalf and Thorin and some of the other dwarves from the Hobbit. There is something you mentioned before we started recording about, was it in Origins? Was that where there's the small side quest about a ring and someone calling it their precious?
That's in one of the first regions in Valhalla. I really forgot.
Ah, yes.
There's a guy sitting on the king of his own island, and he tasks you to go find this armband, and then you go find it, you bring him back. And he mentions something about how the armband's corrupted your mind if you disagree with him, and he don't want to take it back, so he fights you. And to me, that references the famous scene in Lord of the Rings where Gollum finds the ring and it corrupts his mind, and he fights his best friend for the ring, which in turn turns him into Gollum. So to me, it seemed like a far-fetched reference to Gollum himself and how he became Gollum. Gollum.
Yeah. Oh my god, I don't think I've actually found that one. I think I skipped past it. I'll have to go back and play it now.
Oh, it's a very
But
weird one.
to be fair, Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is fantastic. You can put it in any game and it's just fantastic.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Why didn't I write these down? I just wrote Lord of the Rings down. No, I remember. You're gonna have to cut this bit out while I think.
No, we won't cut it out.
No.
No.
I'm a professional, I promise.
Are you on about the one where there's what is it? There's in the Lego Lord of the Rings, there's an eagle noise?
Yes.
See.
So I mentioned that it references Lord of the Rings in AC, but there's, I think, 3 games which involve Lord of the Rings, which reference Assassin's Creed. So, in the Lego game, which I don't think you can download anymore due to copyright issues, but I bought it like over a decade ago. When you get to Weathertop, you can stand on the very top of the monument and then dive off, and it's like a leap of faith, and it makes the eagle sound. Like the eagle screech. Did you do it?
Oh, I know which one you mean now. I think I played the Lego games.
It's so good. I love Lego Lord of the Rings so much.
Surprisingly, people, a little fact for you before we continue, a little tangent. On the 20th of... Is the 11th of November? Yes, in November on the 20th, I said in the Discord server, slight tangent, also, I think I found a Lord of the Rings reference, or am I looking into it too much? The nerdy archer replied, which one? I tagged you, there is a side quest where a madman asks you to retrieve an arm ring from his brothers who drowned in a freak storm. When you push further into what happens, he goes crazy and he says, the light of the ring has blinded you. Now, my eyes, this feels like
God, I don't remember
Gollum
this.
when he first finds the ring and kills his friend before he goes crazy over the ring. She never replied, people. This is an Easter egg I talked about nearly 4 months ago.
5 months.
5 months ago, I found this Easter egg.
It's April now. Oh god. I think. Oh my god. I swear I remember playing though. Oh my god.
So that is a Lord of the Rings Easter egg.
I like how we said which one as well. As in, like, I knew there were two.
Yes, 2, because now you've got my memory. Mubranda, Amit on Twitter put, one of the little folk asked me to make the door small as he wants to keep unruly house guests from his house. After nonsense with the Druidless wall, I can see his point.
Oh.
And Amit put in the post, better keep noisy wizards out if you're a little hobbit, winking face.
No admittance except on party business.
I feel like I've just stole your Easter egg.
You haven't, it's fine. But the other Lord of the Rings game that references Assassin's Creed, which is what I was going to say, is the Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
I'm using the Wikia for this one. So thank you to whoever made the wiki page that's literally Assassin's Creed Easter eggs. Because you are literally saving my life here. In Shadow of War, which is the second one, there is an achievement called Everything is Permitted, where with the game mechanics you can shame orcs and urukai, and you get points for doing that to an assassin to the point where they become deranged. And I think they can take actions which are very much like historical assassins. But it references it in
like the trophy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, in the trophy and the achievement.
That's pretty cool. And I've only ever heard of that from Skyrim, where if you get to a really tall point, you get a trophy called Leap of Faith.
Oh, that's so cool.
So, but I've never seen trophies in other games that Easter egg Assassin's Creed. So I think that's pretty cool, especially in Shadow of War, because some of the mechanics, like climbing, does remind you of Assassin's Creed.
Oh my god, I just checked you know how on the trophies and the achievements you get like the little icon?
Yeah.
Where it can sometimes be slightly personalised. For Everything is Permitted, the icon looks like an orc wearing one of the assassin hoods as well.
That's epic.
That's so cool.
That's now an Easter egg I'm going to have to find. I've not played I played the first Shadow series and I thought it was really good, but I didn't play the second one. But I might have to just for that trophy.
Yeah.
So the second Easter egg I wanted to talk about is a very hard one, and I will admit I've never found it. I found it from YouTube, and it freaks me out. But it goes all the way back to Assassin's Creed 2. And in one of the Assassin's tombs is a long canal of water, which there's nothing there. But if you stand for a while, look at the water,
I know which one
you'll see a giant squid. And if you keep staring and going near the water, giant tentacle will reach out and try to attack you.
Squiddy boy.
Which, to me, references, I could be looking into it wrong, because it is just a giant squid, but a giant squid underground in a tube just gives me H.P. Lovecraft vibes. Just a little.
Yeah, the Cthulhu mythos.
Yeah, just a little, a giant squid in a tomb underground. Cthulhu probably isn't, but it gives me that vibe.
Now that you mention that, I think that's also a case of AC games referencing other AC games, because it comes up again in Black Flag.
Black Flag?
Yeah, you can find another giant squid.
Oh.
Is it a giant squid? Yeah.
Oh, is that the one that's fighting the shark?
Yeah, the one that's fighting the whale.
That's the one, the whale. I saw that and I literally cried.
They're having a whale of a time.
I thought they were just having a good hug. Under the sea.
No, just having a whale of a time.
I remember Black Flag, and I'm not gonna lie, I did one of the underwater sequences, and I saw that thing, I was like, that's cool, creepy. Then as I came out from the barrel and went for a swim, a shark attacked me, and I screamed the house down, because it was a jump scare.
Oh god.
And I think for about a month before I completed the game, I never did underwater sequences again. I was terrified. The sharks would appear from nowhere. They're terrifying. And you can't fight them. Like, what assassin doesn't have like a crossbow that works underwater? Logic.
What crossbow works underwater?
Gameplay mechanics.
Bending the laws of believability, I suppose.
Exactly. Well, there's harpoon guns that work underwater, so
True. I'll give you that.
they were ahead of the time. Your second favourite? Or is it your third favourite?
This is my third one.
I'm losing count already, people.
Yeah, it's the tangents, I swear.
This is why people tune into the shows. We go from tangents. Thank goodness.
But you are being informed, so you're welcome, listeners. So this one is kind of like a speed round, because I just wrote down random lines referencing stuff.
Ooh.
So it's kind of like honorable mentions of, like, you know, when you meet Uncle Mario.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that, where it's like, oh yeah, I recognize that line. Or, hold on, I noticed that. So one of the ones that so you'll get things like little song references, or I think Monty Python's the Killer Rabbit is referenced somewhere.
Oh no, I've got to Google this.
Or like the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail is referenced, I think, in Revelations.
Ooh.
And then maybe again in Unity. It's been a while since I played those two, but I definitely remember Monty Python being in there somewhere. And then in Syndicate, there's a small line. I can't remember how you trigger it. I think it's something like instigating combat by like some urchins and stuff. One of the references Bohemian Rhapsody.
That is pretty cool.
They'll just like spout out. I think it's "I'm just a poor boy from a poor family" or something. "I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me" or something. And it's like, Queen, yes.
And you couldn't reply any more of the lyrics. It was so cool if you could reply some lyrics.
It'd be amazing. And then, oh god, there's so many. Because you could just, it's like the Indiana Jones reference that we talked about earlier, where it's like, if you're keeping an eye out for it, you'll be like, Indy, I see you. Like, where it just fits into like dialogue really, really well.
I think the only one that I've ever noticed from dialogue would have to be the "It's a me, Mario." That is the only one that I remember.
They were not being subtle with that one.
Definitely not.
That was anything but subtle.
Especially since, you meet the guy for the first time, arms up and wide. "It's a me, Mario." It's like, aha, I see what you did there.
I see you.
I know that. But the joy of Easter eggs is always hunting for them, so maybe if you don't notice it the first time, it's good to go back and look for it.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm going to do after this episode for sure, because I want to find Fenton.
Yeah. There's so, like, going back over the wiki page, that there's just so many that I wouldn't have found, or like ones that I don't remember finding. Like, obviously the Assassin Turkey, but there's just so many different references that are they're very just, suddenly they were here and now they're not. Like, split, or you have to get certain points for it. Or the, like, hidden achievements that reference, like, what is this one? Assassin's Creed Revelations references Spider-Man. I didn't know that.
Yes, it's a trophy when you climb a certain speed or something. Because there's one where I think it's 2 Brotherhood of Revelations. I know it's an Ezio game. Whereas you're running and climbing, a civilian just shout out, "Oh look, another caped crusader." Batman.
That's cool.
I may.
These games are just made by nerds, and I love it.
I think the biggest one, and I am going to give a shout out here because I know he must have put it in there somewhere, because he's mentioned, slight spoiler for the games in the past, that sages were based off the Master in Doctor Who, Darby McDevitt. There is a
Oh.
TARDIS in Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, I have a whole headcanon about Doctor Who and Assassin's Creed, but I vaguely remember Darby McDevitt mentioning something on Twitter about Doctor Who. Now, I do believe Darby had some interest in, or some. I do believe Darby worked on Assassin's Creed Origins, so I'm gonna call out and say Darby put the TARDIS in Origins. I don't know how to find this tweet, but I'm sure Darby McDevitt mentioned something about the Master.
I kind of like that though, when you put something in as a reference to a game, or like to someone you know, or something you really respect, like because they do that for the employees that work on the games as well. So there was like a semi-viral tweet I had, I think before Christmas, where I was replaying some of Syndicate, because when am I not? And I think it was one of Evie's shoulder capes, where it mentions references an assassin called Lady Cyril, or Lady Cyril. And, like, we know nothing about her. And then Thierry Loret, Thierry Lauren, I'm really bad at pronouncing names, I'm sorry, literally DM'd me on Twitter to say, oh, this is referencing one of our employees and one of the people who works on the game. There's like a little thank you and a little nod. It's referencing Cyril Bassereau,
Wow,
who I think was one of the devs on the game.
that's actually pretty cool, to be honest. I'm
Which was really sweet.
I'm I'm now trying to think. It's really hard. But I'm sure Darby McDevitt has mentioned sages were inspired from Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's ringing bells to me too. Like, could we do like something to do with like Time Lord regenerations or something? I've definitely heard that before.
I do know that when was it, back on Assassin's Creed Revelations, Darby McDevitt did tell Video Gamer, which is a blog, that um he's created a Doctor Who effect with Assassin's Creed, and I have no idea what
Mm.
happened in my mic then, but I'll try and find the tweet, people, because I really he said it, but I just can't find the darn tweet. Yeah, actually, here you go. TGK on Twitter on December 6th, 2020 put, I swear to effing God, sages are just Darby McDevitt's way of making a JoJo reference without seeming so obvious. Darby replied, no idea what that is. I based the idea on the Master from Doctor Who. So
Yes.
I really think, and this is slightly off topic, but I really think that the TARDIS was a hint at Darby McDevitt's love for Doctor Who. I think, because if the guy knows how to make sages based off the Master, he must have seen some pretty good episodes of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
If he hasn't, I'm going to go watch some Doctor Who. It's awesome. I want to give an honourable mention, and I wonder if you have any, to an Easter egg that wasn't in Assassin's Creed but in other franchises. So we did mention, we've mentioned Skyrim
Lord of
and
the
Lord of the
Rings.
Rings, but there's The Witcher 3. So an honourable mention to The Witcher 3. I can't remember where it was, but Geralt of Rivia finds a dead body near some large iron gates. The body he finds is wearing a whole white suit, and it appears the cause of death is falling from a height into a cart full of hay. So standard leap of faith. And he makes a funny comment about how they should have looked where they're leaping, something like that. I can't remember because this was back on Play 360. But you do get +1 in the assassination attributes, which, in my eyes, if that's not an Assassin's Creed Easter egg, I do not know what is. The big one. Do you have any honourable mentions to other franchises that may have referenced AC?
Oh God. I mentioned Lord of the Rings before, so that's probably it. Oh God.
See, this is the beauty of Easter eggs. You don't know you found them till you start digging. Like, I'm going to link the Wikia soon, so everyone can see the Assassin's Creed Easter eggs found by the Wikia. There's some pretty cool ones. If anybody, an honorable mention to Assassin's Creed Liberation, there's apparently a whale in the swamp. Like, how is.
That's random.
Yeah, how there's a whale in the swamp, I do not know. It's called swamp whale. Ooh.
Never would have guessed.
I know. You climb the lighthouse next to the Spanish fort in Louisiana Bayou. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Then you.
Bio.
Bayou?
Bayou?
I'm dyslexic.
Bayou. Bayou. It's
I can't
alright.
read. So essentially, if you climb onto a beam jutting out on the side of the opposite viewpoint, the sound of whale song can be heard in the swamp. And if you continue to look into the water nearby, you can see a whale swimming around in the swamp water, occasionally surfacing to take a breath. I think
That's so random.
the whale is in the PlayStation Vita edition. The whale is triggered as soon as Aveline climbs top of the railing, whereas in the HD edition, Aveline must be positioned herself, protruding on the wooden beam to attract it. So if you want to do it, and you have the Assassin's Creed 3 remaster, boot up the HD collection, find the little beam, and go find a whale in a swamp. Because if you can have a squid in an empty tomb, why not have a whale in a swamp?
Or an assassin's turkey.
The Assassin's Turkey is just hilarious. Like,
I love it so much. It's just there's no like sensible solution for it being there apart from pure unadulterated fun, and I love it.
if anyone is curious about the Assassin Turkey, because these all can be found in the world, so it's really easy to Google. But the Assassin Turkey is real simple. You go to your homestead in Assassin's Creed 3, and you lean on a barn. I think it's the barn that you hide in as a kid when you first find.
Yeah.
I forgot his name now. It's the assassin that trains you. Achilles. Yeah,
Achilles. Achilles
that's
Davenport.
the one. See, my brain's fried. I've been looking at too much Easter eggs. But essentially, you lean on the barn and you just whistle. And when you whistle, the turkey will run with an assassin hood. Plain and simple, done. It's hilarious.
So cute.
It's a shame you can't have it as a pet. Like, I want an assassin turkey. I want to actually use it as like a companion.
Here's what they should do for April Fool's 2022. Ubisoft, are you listening? Have that as something in Reader's shop where you can have it as a pet around Ravensthorpe. Because you know how you can get like the fox. You've now got so many cats. I love it so much. And then you can get like the dog, well, the wolf, but people keep calling it a dog. That the kids find as like one of the homestead missions for Valhalla and one of the settlement missions. Why not the assassin's turkey?
Yes.
Like, there's already like nods to AC3 in Valhalla. Why not just make it official?
Or instead of buying it, I think this would be cooler. Imagine if you go to the Assassin Bureau and there's a little, maybe a minute quest.
Hytham's pet.
Well, imagine it's a quest and Hytham's like asking Eivor to check out this noise in the cupboard, and you open it and a turkey flutters out, and it's got like a very small dummy's hood on, and it's just flying around it.
That's so cute.
And then Hyphen's just like, I keep this as a pet now. Like, this is cool. And the turkey's just happily like, I now wear a hood. Deal with it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, Hytham deserves a pet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hyphen deserves a pet turkey with a hood. But the turkey's got to have swagger. It's got to walk around the bureau like it owns the spot. Like, yes. It's got to be that, like, a really badass. I'm an assassin turkey, and what? Can we have an assassin turkey? Oh my god.
What?
Have you played the Vinland arc?
I have.
Do you remember the lass that keeps throwing the turkey off the cliff to get it to fly?
Oh.
Imagine if it was.
Oh.
Imagine if you went to Vinland and you saw a turkey trying to jump off into a bale of hay.
Oh my god.
It would just be a little soul leap of faith for a turkey. Oh. I don't know why this went up into tangent, but that'd be an Easter egg I want to find. Definitely, I want to find an Easter egg
Oh,
turkey now. Oh god.
oh my god! I've just thought of another one
Shoot.
because Watch Dogs Legion came out last year, didn't it?
Yes.
It was. Was it just before the game came out or just after it released? There was well, obviously you've got the DLC coming out with like the Assassin's Creed themed like story arc,
Oh yeah.
but you've also got that one character, the one random character you can interact with in the city, which is a descendant of the Fries.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like it's non-canonical, so they're not actually an assassin. But I just think it's neat.
It is neat, and it is also neat that if you go to Layla's computer in Origins, you can see, I think it's Aiden Pierce, or it's talked
Mm,
about Aiden Pierce killing one of Abstergo's chief.
Olivia
That's the
Garnell.
one. Which also drives people crazy because it's a shared world Easter egg that's non-canonical, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I may have to make an
It's,
episode on what would happen if Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed shared a universe.
that'd be quite interesting actually. Because I think Game Theory did a thing a couple of years ago where they used that as one of the main parallels between the two universes and then slotted in the Far Cry franchise.
That just goes
Because
crazy.
there's apparently stuff in Far Cry that references Assassin's Creed. I've never played Far Cry. I don't know.
I've played 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think there was one called Far Cry Hunting or something. I've played too much
Hmm.
games. I don't know.
Nonsense.
Can you play too much games?
I don't think you can.
No. No, I don't know what the Far Cry game is. I just know that there was a Far Cry spin-off that wasn't really meant to be on a certain console. That came on a different console. It's crazy. Video games are crazy. So, I think this is all we have time for Easter eggs. And I hope everyone has a great Easter and eats tons of chocolate Easter eggs because that's how you celebrate Easter. I'm now hungry for an Easter egg.
Me too. I've only got mini eggs this year.
If you go to the shops, they always have them on half price. It's a good tip for you. If you want more Easter eggs after
Oh.
Easter, they're all on half price.
It's like when you get a couple of days into December and all the advent calendars are like 3 for £1.
Am I the only one that would buy tons of them just to eat them all on the same day?
I used to know someone who did that on the way home from high school because we used to walk past like a corner shop and they used to do that. It was like they'd save something like some of their lunch money and then just get like 4 advent calendars and eat them on the way home.
That's brilliant. That is true entrepreneur.
Using your money wisely.
That's an entrepreneur right there.
That kid's gonna go places.
So big thank you to Louise for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's always great to have people on board that join the show. As I say every week, if you want to be on board, then please just shoot me a message on Twitter. My DMs are always open, or an email assassinscreedletstalk@gmail.com. If you have any ideas for the show, then please shoot me a DM or an email. And if you would like to support the show and future projects, then please check out my Ko-fi page, link in description. And we'll see you all next week. I only said tomorrow for some reason.
They could be listening tomorrow. This is the day before you release the next one.
Ooh, spooky.
Time is a social construct, guys.
Time is wibbly wobbly.
Timey-wimey stuff.
So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.